Yo guys, Matt from Upsilon Mining coming back at you with another video, and today I'm going to try to answer the question: is crypto mining a profitable, and I'll add to that, worthwhile venture for you? And I'm going to break this down into 9 categories. I was trying to think of 10, probably it's a 10th, but then I'm just making something up to get to 10. So let's first off talk about my situation, and then I'm going to go through my 1 to 9 talking points and just talk quickly about how I feel about this specifically. And you guys can chat below and put your comments in and whether or not you think it's profitable, if it's worthwhile or not, because I've only been doing this for maybe a little over 6 months, not very long, and there are those of you who've been doing it for years. So I'd like to hear from all your experience, because that's very valuable, and I really I really like to look at the experience of others and to learn. So my experience where I am coming from is, technically I'm self-employed. I have my own business. I do make a decent income, meaning I can afford, or I was able to afford, to purchase significant amounts of these GPUs as business assets through my corporation. Okay, even though I paid more for them, which means that they are also, expenses and appropriate tax deductions for the business operations. All of my cryptocurrency that I mine will be counted as capital gains and weighed against the rest of my business, operations as well. Like, I do service in terms of software development. I do cloud software, a cloud software system called Flow Dynamics. There's a lot of software expenses and cloud platform fees for that through Microsoft Azure, amongst other things. Software licensing as a software developer, there's various expenses, and I get obviously things like mileage and whatnot. These are all legal expenses that I can claim here in Canada. Now, so I was able to buy a lot of these GPUs using business income, and they're actually company assets that don't belong to me personally. And now, as a YouTuber, I think what I have to say, I think, is valuable, because I'm a very, very small YouTuber. I only have like a little over 500 subscribers, meaning what I tell you is, in terms of what you guys are going to experience, could be very similar, in the sense that I am not sponsored by anybody. I've received 0 GPUs, 0 mining hardware, wallets, or anything, hardware wallets or anything like that. A lot of our, not to knock a lot of the other YouTubers, there's a lot of other very popular YouTubers out there that are getting free equipment and are making bank when it comes to advertising on YouTube. So be careful of where you get your advice from. There's a lot of good guys. I can tell they're good guys, and I'm very may well be in the same position one day, but I'm always going to try to keep things real with you folks, because I'm a common man, just like a lot of you, just like all of you, hopefully, and I'm trying to dispel my knowledge to do what's best for you, not really for myself. I'm just kind of documenting my journey through the videos. Now, if I'm not going to sit here and try to shill off a specific type of mini Doge miner or some sort of Octa miner or whatever, because those companies don't sponsor me, and they aren't giving me free things, so I have no incentive to sell you things. So when I say something like I purchased the Spider Miner cases, like I purchased that on my own volition, with my own hard-earned money that I earned working my corporation, and it was purchased as a business asset, and that was purchased for my own money. I paid full price. I didn't even get a discount. Okay, and I'm telling you guys, they're great cases. And same for the Alibaba stuff. No one's sponsoring me from there, so I have no incentive to shill or sell you BS. I know a lot of YouTubers were selling you guys on helium miners a few months ago, and that's because all these helium mining websites and companies are basically sponsoring them, and they're getting free stuff. So obviously, if you're gonna if someone's gonna say, I'll give you a free jazz miner, like, for crying out loud, I'm gonna sit there and try to, I'll do an objective review of the jazz miner, but the one thing you're forgetting is that you got the damn thing for free. Okay, no one's going around handing out jazz miners left and right, unless they're handing it out to someone with 50,000 subscribers and then they can shill it to the 50,000 of you. And I'm not in that position at all. So I'm just like you. I'm an ordinary guy. So let's get into my list of whether or not I think it's profitable. So your facility, meaning where are you planning on setting up your operation or your farm? Do you plan on setting it in your own house? Do you have some office space or some storage space or some warehouse somewhere that's already paid for, and you're going to put it there? Because that will make a big difference, because that's in terms of your living expenses or your rental expenses with regard to that physical space. Are you going to have to spend $4,000 on a warehouse facility just to do the mining and set up the mining operation, or do you already have that space and you can just put it in the corner? Because that will also lean things in favor of being, yeah, crypto mining might be not too bad if you already have the space, or if you have the room in your house to do it, and you have the the ability to handle things like the heat management. You can set up proper ventilation. You have the ability to modify the house or the space if you need to. Like I had to put holes in some walls to run cabling and things like that. I had to hire electricians to put in 240 volt, 30 amp circuits, things like that. Can you do that? Are you a renter? Are you not a renter? You might be limited by the number of sockets you have. You maybe only have a few 15 amp outlets, and that's fine if you want to set up a small operation. But if you want to scale it bigger than that, you need to find out, or really ask yourself, are you in a physical location where you can do that and you have the flexibility to do that. Two, very important, is power costs. So what sort of power costs do you have? Like, I'm running at a basically kind of like a, what's it called, time of use type of electrical plan, right? So it's residential. I pay 8.2 cents over overnight, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I pay like 11 point something cents on the mid peak, and then for the remaining 6 hours I pay on peak, which is around 17 cents. But if you average it all out with the regulatory fees, you got to look at your electrical bill. So all the stuff in your electrical bill, all the regulatory fees and all the small little hidden fees can add up. My bill is around 12 cents per kilowatt hour, roughly. It isn't too bad. I could swallow that. 12 cents Canadian. Okay, so do the math. Let's say, what is that? 10 cents, a little under 10 cents American. If you're going around with 35, 45 cents electrical bill, I feel really bad for you, especially if that's in American dollars or American cents. And you might be watching YouTube channels where someone has, half their house on solar panels. When you're watching someone when they're running off solar panels and they're like 4 cents or 5 cents a kilowatt hour, that's not the same situation as you. So make sure you heed warning that you look at your actual realistic power costs. Because the thing I'd hate to see any of you dump a ton of money in the GPUs and find out your power bill is $2,000 a month and you can't afford it, especially with the profitability of the fiat value. If you trade it in now, it goes down. Second to that, the third thing I'm going to say is GPU costs. So can you really afford to buy those GPUs? Do you have the money set aside to do it? Or are you taking out credit cards and loans and whatnot? Like, I've gone into maybe a little bit of debt and credit card to pay for these GPUs, but nothing that I can't handle, that I can pay off very, very fast, that destroys any chance of me paying too much interest on it, right? Are you in the same position? Do you have savings aside that you want to put towards GPU mining and buying these GPUs? GPUs aren't as bad as some other investments in the sense that you actually own the hardware and you can actually sell that as an asset. So since my GPUs are on the company balance board as like basically as a company asset, I could sell that, and basically it's a capital. It's like basically property value of my corporation, right? So if I sold that, then that would go back into the coffers of the company corporate bank account, right? Also, you got to look at the timing. And the timing is important because that's number 4, which is the value of Ethereum or these coins. So the coins that you're mining, the current value dictates whether or not, and it's closely correlated to your number 5, which is your job and income. Meaning, if you can't afford to sell, if you can't afford to just hold the coins you're mining and pay the electric bill like out of your pocket, meaning, what is your job, right? Not to knock anyone that works at McDonald's, but if your full-time job is at McDonald's and you only make a few $100 a week or something like that, how are you going to pay for $1,000 electric bill, right? I'm guessing your position, you might not be able to buy the GPUs, but let's say you were able to. How are you going to manage to pay the electric bill if you're counting on the money from the GPUs to pay that electric bill? I think you've gone too far. You've got a lot of these large giant farms use the money from their operation to pay for electric bill because they have so much volume, right? They have so many GPUs, so many rigs mining that they're able to cover those costs. Now, when Ethereum goes away, and as we continue to become more entrenched into the bear market, they're going to have a harder time floating their day-to-day operation costs, and you might see some of these operations shutting down, or at the very least going into hibernation mode, or even shutting down some of the rigs, if not all of them. So be careful of that and in your situation, because they're all related. Like if you have a good job and you have good money, and you're not taken away from feeding your children, or your or paying your bills and your other obligations, day-to-day obligations, then maybe it could be if you can afford to cover the electrical bill. Number six, which I kind of touched on already, is it personal versus business? If you can do this as a business, you get a lot of tax deductions and whatnot by expensing and depreciating these assets over time. You can't write out the full amount right off the bat, but you can depreciate it over multiple years. Usually over a few years, according to your accountant, will let you know how many years that will be written off. But you'll be able to continue to write off those value of that asset, a percentage of it every single year for up to so many years until you've written the whole amount off. So eventually, at the end of it, long term wise, you've essentially paid no tax on that purchase, which is a business asset. So your strategy, that's important as well. So are you thinking long term? Like, are you planning to hold the coins and wait for them to go back up? Right now, we're pretty low on the value of Bitcoin. I think we're under like $30,000 US right now on a Bitcoin, but it was up really high before, right? So what is your strategy? Are you planning on holding it for 2 years when the halving occurs in 2025? In which case, a lot of the values of the coins might go up, and they might go up in time. Or is your strategy to try to make money now? Because I think personally, something like this is better if you're long-term minded, which ties to number 8, your mentality and patience. Do you have patience? Are you willing to wait it out, right? So if you're panicking and selling all your equipment now, that simply tells me that you went all in. You can't afford to float your day-to-day expenses, and you're just afraid to lose what you put in. You shouldn't really be putting anything into this that you wouldn't be losing. Like, you would not, like if you, for example, let's say you needed, $1,000. Are you going to take $1,000 and just invest it all into like some stock? No, because you need 500 of it for rent, you need 200 of it for groceries, you need another $150 for insurance or whatever, right? You're not going to spend. That's all you have. Why would you spend that on an investment, right? And mining, crypto mining, and mining hardware and crypto in general is long-term investment. Like, look at all the people that invested way back in the day, and they waited it out till everything spiked, and then they sold then, right? That was a multi-year investment, and they were patient. Are you patient? Do you have resilience to ride out the waves, up and down, because this could be turbulent? And are you ready to inevitably just kind of reach a point where, you lose everything, and you could just say, you know what, I tried my best? Or is it going to destroy you? Are you going to go into deep depression, right? Are you going to lose your house and your family? They're really different things. For me, a little from my personal story, is I'm used to my life being completely ripped apart and starting from scratch. I went through a pretty rotten divorce about 10 years ago, lost everything. I had a horrible ex-wife that still causes me pain today, and I have no problem with just tearing the down and starting on over, because that's just how I think, right? I think as long as I can breathe, as long as I get a roof over my head, or I can sleep somewhere, and I have some food and water, I'm fine. I don't care, right? But if you're not like that, and you have a lot of anxiety over losing what you have, you shouldn't be doing this. But for me, I'm of the mentality where I can lose everything, and honestly, as long as I'm breathing and I have a heartbeat, I feel there's a chance for tomorrow. And that might be a low bar, like saying that, hey, I don't worry if this crap just blew up and I was like homeless. But I'm not really saying that. I'm saying that you have to have the mentality where you're ready to do what it takes. And I'll give another example from my personal life. I do contracting and consulting as a software development business, and most other things through my corporation. By doing those things, it's much more risky than had I just taken a full-time job somewhere. That's the way I think. That's the way I feel, right? I can get a higher income for my corporation through my business and allow myself to expand that business to do other things versus taking a safe paycheck, which, in my opinion, isn't safe, because around 10 years ago when I went through my rotten divorce, I also lost my job at the same time. I got laid off. I used to work at Research in Motion, BlackBerry, in the Waterloo region, Kitchener Waterloo region. And I got laid off. I lost my job, I lost my wife, my family, my house, all within like 2 months. I've been there before, and guess what, guys? I'm alive today and I'm surviving. All right. I'm not saying I'm thriving, but I'm surviving, right? And you gotta have that. You gotta have that mentality, and that's where that risk aversion comes in. Like, what's your level of risk aversion? Like, is it the end of the world if you lose this or that? Then don't put 100 grand of your stuff into crypto mining, right? And really, this is not something that you're gonna make your money back in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This is something you might make your money back in 3 to 5 years or more, right? So just think long term. So that's pretty much it, guys. If I were to give anyone advice going into crypto as a new miner today, I would just basically say, can you afford to float the power costs with your income? If you can't float the power costs with your income, you've overextended yourself. I'd also say, don't. Are you planning on going into huge amounts of debt to buy all these GPUs? If you're going to do that, then I would say don't do that. What can you afford? If you got 2 grand, go buy. At this point, I'd probably say go buy like a 2080 Ti or something so you can mine Flux, or maybe one or two of those and build a small little mining rig, right? Start small. If you don't have a lot, don't put a lot into it, and definitely don't put a lot more into it than you're willing to risk losing, right? Don't put anything in that you're going to risk losing. And as I said anyone before, uh, this, like anything, there's no guarantees in life. Dudes, there's no guarantees in life. And I'll tell you one thing, you, not me, not nobody, is going to make it out alive out of this life. So whether you're going to take a risk and try to succeed with crypto mining, or are you just going to, just play it safe? I know I have some friends that just play it safe, and they do well for themselves. I'm not knocking that at all. That's just another strategy. They do play it very safe. They stash away their money and they save away money. And some of these guys are millionaires, right? They've saved up a lot of money because they didn't really take a lot of risk, but they were very frugal with their money. And that's a strategy too. It just depends on the individual, right? And if you're frugal, if you don't like taking risks for big rewards, and if you're afraid of losing everything and you can't handle it mentally, don't do crypto mining and don't invest in crypto. Right? That's what I'm saying. Take your money and save it, put it into RSP, something safe, a guarantee, a GIC, which is a guaranteed income type of savings account vessel, or just buy something you might enjoy now. Like maybe if you like playing games, go buy an Xbox or a new game or whatnot. But I mean, if you want to do some mining on a small scale, that's a different story. This is more of like an adventure as a venture, right? I'm talking like 5 or more rigs, right? If you can afford that. But if you're a gamer and you want to do some mining in the spare time, then sure, go for it. Anyways, guys, I don't know what else to say. I'm just been yapping for 17 minutes right now, so I think I'm just gonna stop there and let you guys comment below and tell me what you guys think about this. You think mining is profitable? You think it has a bright future? Ethereum's going away, so proof of work is not something we can use on Ethereum anymore. So I feel pretty good about Flux, guys, and Ergo and some of these other coins, and hoping that they're going to go up, and I think they will, and Ethereum Classic and whatnot, regardless of what everyone's saying with the ASICs. But I think something's going to happen, and GPUs will be back in full force at some point, and you just got to wait it out. And for me, if I just need to wait it out, and that waiting out means just taking the mined Ethereum that I have right now, and that triples or quadruples in value, hey, that's still a win for me in terms of the mining, right? If you're going to start mining after Ethereum's gone, then well, maybe just mine for Flux and some of these other coins and hope for the best as well. So I'm not sure. I don't think there's any right answer, guys. But anyways, I will see you in the next one. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye.